Hello friends, this is your host Jyotsna Sharma welcoming you back to another enriching and interesting session of It's My Story. As promised to you, we like to bring people from all walks of life to you to make you listen to their stories. Their stories reach the masses and they motivate in one way or other. Today, we have an esteemed guest, a person of value, a person who can inspire you in many ways, a person who is dedicated to his own nation, the United States of America. His name is Commissioner Stephen Rogers. He is an author and Fox News political analyst, commentator. He is presently President of America Winning Coalition and serves on President Donald Trump's 2020 Campaign Advisory Board. During his tenure as a Nutley Commissioner, he established the first municipal government, military, and Veterans Affairs Bureau in New Jersey. He also served in U.S. Air Force, U.S. Navy, and police. Mr. Rogers has a degree in Criminal Justice Administration from William Patterson University in New Jersey. He also completed courses on study in military strategy at the United States Naval War College, Rhode Island, and courses on terrorism at the United Nations, New York City. We will explore a lot about him and his vision today while we listen to his story. So let's welcome Commissioner Stephen Rogers. Welcome to you, sir, and thank you so much for coming to our studios.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you.
This is so wonderful. Your profile is so splendid. In fact, I have not spoken everything what is there in your bio, you know. There is a whole book that can be written, and I just chose few things because I believe when I take it from you and you tell us about your own things, it'll be much more interesting.
Well, I could tell you that I was raised in Brooklyn, New York, in Bay Ridge. We lived in a poor neighborhood, but poor in what respect? Well, probably poor financially. You know, we all worked hard and we got ahead in life. But I always say to people that you could be living in a poor neighborhood, but you could be rich, rich in your spiritual beliefs in God and in country. And so although we didn't have very much, materialistically, my mother and father made sure that my brother and my sister and myself were raised on the values that were written in the Bible, a belief in God, and a belief in hard work and family. And that's how I got my start.
This is so good. I mean, what matters in a person's life is the formative foundation years. And whatever formative years you spent with your family, your siblings, they have a long-lasting impact. How was it as a child with your siblings and your parents, as a family unit? As you said, you come from a background where you were not very rich. So what was that spirit and essence of humanity that was given to you through your parents? What did they tell you?
Well, a couple perfect examples is my mother and father always said, never forget the poor, never forget your roots. No matter where God brings you, just never forget where you have come from.
Absolutely.
And I remember on 65th Street in Brooklyn, there was an orphanage right down the street from me. And my mother would say to me and my brother and sister, you know what, I want you to go down to that orphanage and I want you to talk to the kids. I want you to do whatever you could to make them happy. And I remember there was a little black dog named Blackie. He used to greet us at the gate.
Boy.
And we would look over the fence and we'd look at the orphans and say, you know what, we're going to go in and do something. So I'll tell you what we did. We not only did that in Brooklyn, but in later years I did it in Nutley, New Jersey, because they had an orphanage there.
Right.
And I would get a group of my friends and we'd go in with a couple of guitars. And I'm not a musician, I'm not a singer, but I remember doing that. And we put on a little play for them, a little show for them.
This is so good.
And you know, of course, I realized then I would never be a singer. So,
No.
but these are the values that my parents gave me. Always give back, but always do it in service to not only country, but in service to God.
Excellent. Of course, there is a superpower. And if we believe in that superpower, we are on the right track. I mean, believe in God, and whatever forms that God and Almighty comes in people's lives. That supernatural power, that force keeps us living, you know, keeps us going. There is a spirit. That's so nice to hear that you believe in God, you know, I mean,
well,
changing trends and all, you know.
Let me give your viewers out there a perfect illustration. Take a pen or a pencil and put it on a piece of paper and draw a triangle. And you start with you and your family at the bottom. And if you notice, the closer you get together, the closer you get to God, because God's at the top of that apex of that triangle. And the farther away from God, the farther away from our family we are. So always, always go up.
Wow, this is such a beautiful example I never thought of. That's how the triangle expands further than friends and acquaintances and community, and there's a big
and just
pyramid.
keep on staying close. The family that prays together stays together, and you get closer to God. And what does the Word of God said? The steps of a righteous man and woman are ordered by God.
That's beautiful. That's so good to know from you. And Commissioner Rogers, I mean, there is a lot. I don't know where to begin from. But yes, with your professional years, I see a very splendid profile where you have worked in U.S. Air Force, U.S. Navy, and in police services as well. And then you were the detective as well. Then you worked post 9/11 into the anti-terrorism squad as well, as I was reading through your profile. Tell us something. What was that motivation that kept you going, working into all the public services? You mean this is all serving the community, the public?
Well, as I said earlier, I certainly had a strong spiritual foundation. We all have a calling. You have a calling. Artists and singers have callings, but this was my calling. This was my destiny.
Right.
And the way my parents instilled in me to give back, I found that I could give back in many ways. Right. For example, during the Vietnam War, the war was winding down, but I thought maybe I should just, get involved and help my country that way. So I joined the Air Force. Never went to Vietnam, but I was in the United States Air Force for 4 years. Then I became a police officer in the city of East Orange, New Jersey, where I interacted with a lot of minorities in our state.
Right.
Really had some interesting times, but learned a lot. I learned about the plight of the minorities in our state and our country. Left East Orange, became a police officer in the township of Nutley, and worked my way up to the rank of detective lieutenant.
Very
and
nice.
I was actually supervisor of the criminal investigation division when I retired. But in 1981, the Navy had come around looking for recruits. They wanted to get veterans into the U.S. military at that time.
Right.
And I'm thinking, gee, you know what? Here's another opportunity.
Wow.
So I went into the Navy, got commissioned an officer, and worked for the Office of Naval Intelligence my entire Navy career. And then worked at the FBI National Joint Terrorism Task Force after 9/11.
Right.
And then in between that, I was involved in politics at 18 years old. Think about this.
Really?
Right after
18
high
years?
school,
Oh
at
my
18
God.
years old, I ran for the Board of Education in the town I lived in Belleville, New Jersey.
18, you're
18 years
saying?
old. And
Wow.
I lost by like 99 votes or something, and I could tell you, I'm saying, boy, I'm glad I lost. I wouldn't know what to do if I got elected. But I took the shot at it. Because you know what? If you want something, you pray about it and go after it.
You have to just begin once.
It may be up on top of that mountain, but you get to the top of that mountain, but you know what happens? You get to the mountain, you're going to see a higher mountain, and you got to go through that valley. Well, go for it. That's what America's all about, the land of opportunity. So I ran for the school board, my first chance in politics,
Right.
and then worked my whole career, Navy, police, and then I had opportunities, obviously, to run for office, and now I'm a commissioner of the Township of Nutley. My last term, I believe in term limits, so I'm going to be leaving, and then work full-time for the president's campaign.
Very nice. Yes, that's where I'm definitely coming to. You are part of President Trump's 2020, advisory board, and question is definitely, it's a Republican Party. President Trump is a Republican. What were the factors that made you believe in, first of all, the Republican Party to begin with?
Well, I could tell you history is repeating itself, and for your viewers out there, you really need to know what happened in the 1960s with regard to the Democrat Party. I was a Democrat. I was a Democrat who supported John F. Kennedy because Kennedy talked about a vision for America. He certainly started the space program, and look what we have today. But he brought the spirit of America to the surface that was not done before he was elected. And unfortunately, he was assassinated.
Right.
And then I saw the Democrat Party begin to slide down a path that we're seeing today, and that path is socialism. But then came along Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan really drove home the spirit of America. And Ronald Reagan was never afraid to talk about God and country in the same sentence.
Right.
Ronald Reagan talked about a shining city on a hill and gave us hope and gave us the ability to want to go to work and to do what we must do to help America. So it was at that time that I decided that was the party that represented God and country, the party that represented family. By the way, let's talk about family a minute, and I'll get back to Reagan
Sure.
and Trump. The Indian American community in this country is the most advanced, God-loving, family-oriented community
Absolutely.
that I've seen across this country. And what astonishes me at times is knowing that, and I realize that a lot in the Indian American community are Democrats. I just want to share with them that the Republican Party is the party that supports family. And
Right.
I'm not here to make a political statement, but I'm here to give you some facts. That the Democrat Party has now gone down a road that I saw in the 60s that is becoming a party that is leaving the people and wants the government to control you instead of you, the people, controlling the government. That's why I like Donald Trump.
Okay, there, Mr. Rogers, Commissioner Rogers has his view, and definitely when they speak about family, as he started off with the conversation of family, the one unit, of course, Indian Americans or any Indian, or any South Asian for that reason, people value family very much. I mean, family is the foundation stone for us to, to come out, emerge as a good human being. We see a lot of bonding, and that's how, we thank you for that compliment for the Indian community. We are a South Asian channel, so definitely we take that compliment from you.
And there's a lot of evidence, all right? As a
Absolutely.
police officer, I was head of the juvenile bureau in my department for many years.
Right.
All those years, think about it, 38 years in a police department, not one child from the Indian American community ever had a problem with, not one. Not one. And I'm not just saying that to build you
Right.
up, but that is an absolute fact. And I found out why. I really wanted to find out why is it that in certain areas we've had problems with a lot of young people, but when it came to the Asian community, it was either zero or maybe a very small amount. It was because of the family. It was because of the culture that
Right.
you believe in God, you serve your country, but you honor thy mother and thy father.
Right.
And that structure, believe me, has gone a long way to not only help the Indian community, but to help America.
That's so nice to hear from you, and that you have understood the Indian culture in that perspective, and this is so good. So, Commissioner Rogers, another thing. Again, we'll talk about your advisory role, in the campaign, but before that, what is AWC, America Winning Coalition?
All right, America Winning Coalition was originally Team Trump New Jersey because we were committed to advancing the president's Make America Great Again agenda.
Right.
But there were so many Team Trumps popping up, people were getting confused.
Right.
So we decided to call it the America Winning Coalition, and we're bringing together a coalition of winners. All right, that's why it's America Winning
Right.
Coalition. So we have people from all different ethnicities and backgrounds,
Okay.
and and even Democrat conservatives are jumping on board because they're realizing that we're doing this only for the purpose of the country, the future of
Right.
our children. And so what we've decided is we've committed all our resources into working with re-electing Donald Trump as president of the United States because he's a winner, and he believes in winning, and he believes in the values that we just talked about.
Right. And from a personal note, we are Indians. Okay. I come from Indian descent. They call us brown people. Okay. You are a white person. And there is a lot of myth or misinformation, I would say, about Republican Party when some people say it's a racist party. But how much do you disagree or agree on that? I want to know from you, because I have also witnessed President Trump, giving his speeches and all. I never saw any racist comment exactly. I have not witnessed from my perspective, but people have a different note on that, line. What has racism got to do there, or are you seriously something does exist like that, or is this a myth being created?
Well, first of all, 100% it's not a racist party. In fact, Abraham Lincoln, a Republican, actually freed the slaves back in the 1800s.
All right.
Now, and I don't look at you as a brown woman. I look at you as a successful American, Indian American who's worked very hard to get where she is. And but I could tell you this, that the Republican Party, not racist, the president by all means is not a racist, but we must do a lot more work in the Republican Party to reach out to people of different ethnicities.
Right.
And I've mentioned that, and look, I'm a straight shooter. Sometimes I'll say things that people don't want to hear, but I will be very truthful. As I get around the country and get around the state, I look in the audiences and I look for minorities and I look for people from different cultures, and a lot of times it bothers me that I do not see that. And that's not the fault of those people. It's the fault of the Republican Party not reaching out the way they should reach out. Now, saying that, there's good news, because there are people, not only through the America Winning Coalition, but there are other Republicans across this country working with the president and working with his top echelon, doing a lot more reaching out than we have ever done. You know what it is? It's a matter of trust.
Right.
Look, I've heard people don't trust to a great degree, whether it be Democrat or Republican. They just don't trust government. They don't trust the political parties. Well, I could tell them this, that trust your instinct, trust your heart.
Right.
Judge people based on what they say to you. Trust organizations based on what their leaders say to you. Then get involved. And if you don't like what you see, help change it.
True, agreed. In fact, in the past few years, during President Trump's tenure, I mean, you are contributing there in the advisory board. There are a lot of changes that have happened. Something positive has happened as well. Would you like to throw some light, why have you taken up a role in the advisory board in President Trump's 2020 campaign? And what are the factors that you want to enlighten people about, basically?
It's very important for people to understand that President Trump is a man of great character, and you don't hear that through mainstream media. Look, it's no secret we've heard all the terrible things that they try to portray that he did in the past. But I'm going to share with you a story, probably the first time on TV, about one experience of several I had in the White House. My wife and I, and I'm going to look right at your viewers if you don't mind, my wife and I are invited to the White House during the Christmas season. And I'll never forget the time that President Trump and his wife Melania came down to speak to us. There's 30 or 40 of us in that room, okay?
Right.
And so you hear the Hail to the Chief band and all the things that are going on and people are celebrating. So President Trump and his wife come down, and we're waiting for him to start his speech. The first thing he did was, before we do anything in this house, we pray. Imagine that, we pray. And he pointed his finger to the ceiling and he said, I know that I cannot do this job alone. I know that I need God's help. And he talked a little bit about God and about his desire to want to do what's right in God's eyes, and then he would have a pastor come up and pray.
Wow.
Now that's the true character of the President of the United States. So I like to gravitate towards people of like mind and whose hearts are in the right direction. So that's a big motivating factor with regard to working with the President's campaign. The other motivating factor is he owes nothing to no one. I'll tell you something, my wife is an immigrant from the Soviet Union. All right.
Okay.
So she lived under a red flag, a hammer and sickle, and lived under a communist regime.
Right.
But she came here legally.
Right.
All right. She came here, and when she was in the White House with me, I was looking at her and I said, only in America could someone be in the White House now who maybe 25 years ago lived down the street from the Kremlin. That's how great our country is.
Absolutely. America gives opportunity to everyone. That's why they call America as a land of opportunities. People want to call it home. Hundreds and millions, millions of people want to call this beautiful nation as home. And having said that, there is definitely a little controversy, when we speak about immigrants. And there are different views on immigration, right? Democrat parties have different view, Republican Party has different view. What is Commissioner Rogerses' view on immigration?
First of all, I believe that any person coming into this country should come here legally. My wife came here legally. She worked hard.
Right.
She did what she had to do according to law and became an American citizen. And what a proud moment that was.
Absolutely.
To see her raise her right hand with many, many immigrants that came here legally. That's number one. Number two, the President of the United States, he is a loving man, all right? He's a father, for goodness sakes. He's a good husband, a good president. He wants to see people come to America, but he wants to see them come here legally. Let me tell you what happened in Phoenix, Arizona last week.
Okay.
The courts ordered the Trump administration to catch and release within a certain amount of time. No, you don't even have time to look at the backgrounds of these people.
Right.
So buses are now going all over the country just dropping illegal immigrants off in the streets. And it happened in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
Just 50, 60 dropped off on a street corner. So who pays for them? Well, the American taxpayer pays for them. They're now paying their medical costs, their education costs, every imaginable cost you and I are paying for these illegal immigrants. Now, how many of them are really here for political asylum? How many are really here for this or for that? But we know one thing, we really know, without a doubt, they're here illegally. So you're already breaking the law, and you should be returned to your country of origin and do what everybody else has done. Do what my wife has done. Come here legally.
Well, a very valid point. And it's your story though, but I would add one fact to your story, when you support the legal immigration. Being an Indian, I would like to throw this light that there are around 700,000 Indian legal immigrants. Out of them, 300,000 are high-skilled legal immigrants who are in this country waiting for a green card. They have been approved for a green card by the Department of Labor and all. I mean, there are certain stages they have crossed. And after that, they are supposed to wait for 100 plus years to get their green card. This is a situation right now where these people have contributed to the economy of the nation. These people are innovative. These people boost every single thing, the socio-economic perspective or the scientific perspectives of this nation, because they really work hard. But if they want to call America their home, they're not able to call it. What is your view on that? Is there any support on clearing that green card backlog by any chance?
I could tell you, there's no doubt in my mind that that's going to be cleared up. And I think about what the president has said consistently, and he took a lot of heat for saying this, but just kind of read between the lines a little bit. He had consistently said he wants immigrants coming here who are highly skilled.
Right.
He wants immigrants who are coming here who are highly educated, right? So he has already endorsed that policy.
Right.
So I know that it's a very difficult situation a lot of people are in, but I have enough confidence in him and his administration that this is all going to be sorted out. So like I say, never give up. Never give up hope. Never give up your dreams, okay? Because it's not going to take 100 years, believe me. And if I have anything to say about it, believe me.
I'm telling you because I've witnessed many people. Of course,
he is aware of it, believe me.
He's aware of that?
He's aware of it. He's a hands-on guy. But I'll tell you what, I get around, and if I have the opportunity, which I know I will, I could mention that in one of our briefings.
That's where, I mean, you are representing the masses, you are leading AWC, America Winning Coalition. America wins through legal immigrants. America wins through right kind of talent and skilled force, or any kind of force that is dedicated to the development of this nation. Indians, on that perspective, I must say, they call India as their Matrabhumi, means motherland, but their Karma Bhumi means the place, the country, the land where they work is USA.
So I would ask you to do me a favor.
Sure.
I would ask you to convey that all of those Indian Americans who you've just talked about, this is their home, okay?
Right.
Never forget your motherland, but this is your home. And you know why it's their home? Because there's many of us from all walks of life. We're opening up our arms and hearts and saying, come on in, neighbor. You are as American as I am.
Absolutely.
Don't let a piece of paper or a policy that is being worked on and will be successful in the future, don't let that stop you from calling this your home. So this is your home.
I would, this is so beautiful. That vision, that clarity of thought coming from you definitely helps a lot of millions of people. A lot of people who are waiting, hopefully, they'll make it one day. There are people who have established their homes and families and businesses here, and after staying for 15, 16 or 17 years, they sometimes have to leave the country because they're not getting their extensions on their visas.
My doctors are Indian Americans, okay?
Okay.
I mean, and we go out to dinner, we have a lot of fun, and they're here, and we call you brothers and sisters, okay?
Right.
We're all brothers and sisters
Absolutely.
in this country, but it goes back to what I said earlier. When you look at the contributions of the Indian American in this country, it's just mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling. And I'm not just talking about corporations. There are a lot of CEOs who are Indian Americans, but I'm talking about the small business startups.
Right.
And I've got to tell you, to be frank with you, I use sometimes the small businessmen and women from the Indian American community as role models for others to see this is how it's done. And you know how it's done? It's not done through a Democrat socialist agenda or policy. It's done through that Republican policy that we talked about, reward hard work.
Absolutely.
Make sure that hard workers are rewarded. This is why the Democrats have recently said that they want to out-tax the rich. You always hear the rich are evil, the rich are bad. Well, it's the rich who worked hard and who are giving us our jobs. We all work together.
No, absolutely. Of course, if they give jobs, then only the the employment increases.
You want to be rich one day, right? All your viewers, everybody wants to be rich. I've spoken to many Indian Americans, young people, and they want to be wealthy. There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
So why should we stop them and then tell them, well, if you get wealthy, you're going to be penalized? You want to know the difference between a Democrat and socialist? The Democrats penalize you for your hard work. The Republicans reward you.
Okay, so Commissioner Rogers has his views there and very much committed to the Republican Party. He comes from a Democratic background, though. He was a Democrat once upon a time, changed his philosophy and ideology because of certain factors that he mentioned as well. Commissioner Rogers, you are a person completely involved in community affairs when I speak about your current role, and this is your last term as commissioner. So what is it, what do you do exactly, and how do you help out your community people? I mean, Nutley, that city of Nutley you are heading right now.
Well, I'm the commissioner of the Department of Public Affairs, Department of Health, and Department of Military and Veterans Affairs.
Wow.
And I established the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs about 2 weeks after I got elected to office back
Beautiful.
in 2012. And here's why I did that. We've had tremendous problems with the Veterans Administration, the lack of medical care, the lack of really looking at veterans and helping them the way they needed to get help. So here's what I did. I adopted the policies of Ronald Reagan and the policies of Donald Trump, and that was to win, to go and win, to get into a fight, and a fight that you know you will not lose, that you'll win. So I did. I created an ordinance in town, a law, that would make sure that our veterans would be taken care of. So here's what we did. I knocked on every single door in our town. It took me 18 months, 10,000 homes. 18 months to find every veteran.
18 months?
Yes.
You knocked every single door?
Every single door. So it took 18
Not
months.
a normal thing. Not many people do.
Well, I did it because there was no way I could find our veterans unless we were doing that. So myself and my team went. And through the winter, through the snow, through the blistering heat. But you know what? You've got to go and look at people in their eyes to see what's going on. So I found a little over 1,000 veterans as far back as World War II, including 2 women that served in World War II in the Navy Nurse Corps.
Wow.
All right. So anyway, the horror stories began. Couldn't get medical treatment, couldn't get help, couldn't get therapy. They didn't even know they were entitled to financial benefits. So what I did was...
My goodness, they do not know?
They had no
about
idea.
Any benefits?
How about this? How about we, I just got the figures a few weeks ago, we recovered over $800,000 in financial benefits to veterans as far back as World War II. Didn't even know they were entitled to that.
My goodness.
So here's what I did. So we got all these veterans, found out who needed what, and did 2 things. I went out into the community and I asked for volunteers, doctors, lawyers, therapists, school teachers, you name it. People in Nutley are great. They are great for the spirit of volunteerism. So what did? They came. Dozens of them came. And so instead of veterans going to Newark or other cities to get their treatment and wait hours, they go down the street. The doctor comes to their house.
Beautiful.
The therapist comes to their home.
Beautiful.
Now, if they have to go to the VA, we've got it set up where they get transported to the VA but not dropped off. Because I've mandated my staff members to sit with them from 8 in the morning, I don't care if it's midnight, make sure they get the care they get. So that is what, at least that will be the legacy that I leave behind with regard to our veterans. And one more thing, we have given, I had a medal, a military medal minted just for the veterans who served in the township of Nutley.
Beautiful.
And every Memorial Day, we present them with medals. And I remember a young lady from Toms River, New Jersey called me. Father was 90 years old, but he lived in Nutley his whole life, but moved to Toms River. Well, we went to Toms River.
Wow.
And he was rolled out by his wife in a wheelchair with American flags.
Amazing.
And he had a baseball cap, U.S. Army. We gave him that medal. Very emotional moment, but it was a great, great time. And he died a couple of weeks later. Oh. But what a thing. He left his great-grandchildren. That's what we do.
Made him feel so special.
Yep.
And it's all about making people feel special for who they are.
Yep.
And very few people have that passion to do that. And that's where Commissioner Rogers is doing something special, out of the way. When he speaks about knocking 1,800 houses just to find the veterans in his community, to reward them or to acknowledge them or help them out, that takes a spirit, that takes a dedication, that takes a courage, and that takes a vision. Because it is selflessness. There is philanthropy involved, and there are very few people for that. That's where at It's My Story, we like to bring people who motivate you. Commissioner Rogers, this is such nice conversation happening right now, but I have more questions to add on.
Sure.
Okay, your tenure, you said that you did post 9/11. You were working in anti-terrorism squad. You were deputed there, right? How was your experience?
Well, I could tell you that the Fusion Center, we called it, at FBI headquarters in Washington was something that was truly needed. And I'll give George Bush credit for that, because intelligence agencies were not sharing information.
Right.
There was always this turf battle. The FBI had this information, wouldn't share it with CIA wouldn't share it with the military. So George Bush was able to get everything together, and we worked very hard in that Fusion Center to make sure that information was put out to law enforcement agencies as well as other national security agencies. But I can tell you, there were times that it was very frustrating, because I had information coming across my desk that needed to get out to local police departments.
Right.
And they wouldn't put it out because of the bureaucracy and processes. But I'm glad I was there, because we were able to work through all of those problems. And today, we haven't had a catastrophic attack because of the hard work of the FBI, the CIA, and other intelligence agencies.
Absolutely.
So my experience was very good. But always concerned that terrorists may again sometime try to hit us. But I could let people know in this country, rest assured they're in good hands with regard to our military intelligence agencies. By the way, one more thing. Let's get rid of one more mainstream media allegation regarding the president. The President of the United States has a very good working relationship with his intelligence agencies, believe me. The media is trying to say that it's not good. It is good. It is very good. And he's watching very carefully and reading very carefully and paying attention. It's a good relationship.
Nice. It takes the right spirit to present the right views. And people need leaders to, spread the right information about their leaders as well. I mean, I see that you definitely admire President Trump for that reason. And you yourself are a leader, a man of courage and vision, And there are a lot of things still, of course, I want you to educate people on, basically. Of course, from Indian perspective, you must have met many Indian people here in community. Hundreds.
And I'll tell you what astonished me about the Indian American community, the young people.
Right.
It's really refreshing when a young person will say yes sir or no sir, when they will stretch their hand out to shake your hand without you ever have. I mean, this speaks to the culture, and this speaks to an America that we were. This is why the president says, make America great again. Look, we are a great nation, he knows that, but we want to return to the times where family was everything. We want to return to the times where on Sundays, at least in the Christian community, I don't know about the Indian American community, but there has got to be a day, I'm sure, you come together as family, where we talk about our future and the vision we have, and talk about God and talk about those things, where a child could talk to mom about things, a daughter, and a son could talk about that. So these are the things we yearn for, but there's something going on in America with the Indian American community, because there is a treasure there in the Indian American community that we must promote, and we must let people know, look, they've got it right. Maybe we need to do a little bit more listening instead of doing a lot of talking.
No, beautiful. Whatever you're talking is enriching. It's educating a lot of our audiences, And unless you speak out, we wouldn't even know. I mean, people have seen you on different platforms as a Fox News political commentator. You definitely keep, we watch you there and we watch your views. But then there is always a curiosity who Commissioner Rogers is as a person, as his belief system is, because you wouldn't speak about your belief system on any other platform. You would speak about policies, your plans or actions that you're doing. Or the
Although I'll surprise you, I have talked about the Indian American community as a model on a lot of these shows, because I'm asked, well, where in America do you see these things? Well, I point to the American community for one, and there are, believe me, there's the Hispanics, the African American communities, Hispanic community. Great communities, all right? And there's a lot of people in those communities who are doing exactly what the Indian American community is doing, working very hard. But this is where the Republican Party, to get back to your question, where we have to do more. Why don't we just, embrace all of this?
Absolutely.
Why don't we, not from a political perspective, but embrace it from an American perspective and from a family perspective? Because at the end of the day, we all should look at each other as one family, doing what's right in the eyes of God and in the eyes of actually the framers of this great Constitution we live under.
Absolutely, beautiful. Commissioner Rogers is speaking about something very, very basic to the life of a person. That is belief system. Any belief system will have a precursor in a superpower that we call through our religion. Our religions may be different. Somebody might be a Christian, a Muslim, a Hindu, a Jew, a Parsi, or whatever. But there is a power, a spirit, a force that keeps people united. As he said, family binds us together, and that family force is next to the God. And that's the God he tries to witness amongst people. That's the God he wants to serve through his work for the people, because in people resides the God. Commissioner Rogers, it's so nice to hear from you about all these things. Now, through America Winning Coalition, with your next steps, and through your advisory role, with your next steps, how do you want to contribute, your efforts towards educating people, choosing the right candidate, right leader for leading this nation, and how do you want to listen to their problems and solve them?
Well, to begin with, we ask people to contact us, okay? And we'll send them information about candidates who are running, and we will send them absolutely without any doubt the true, real, factual policies of President Trump. So education is important. But I also encourage people to do this. A lot of people don't go to school board meetings, they don't go to city hall meetings, they sit back and they'll yell at their television sets, and they'll do that endlessly, or get on the text and say, hey, did you see this or see that? Somebody should do something about it. Well, guess what? You're that somebody. You're that somebody. You've got to go out and do something. So be courageous, be bold, be strong. Don't let anybody ever tell you you're not going to succeed. I remember when I ran for office, there were people, powerful people, telling me, don't waste your time. You don't have the money. You don't have this. You don't have that. I did it through prayer and hard work. So I would encourage people to do that. You pray, do hard work, but learn. Really learn about the difference in both parties, whether it be Democrat, Socialist, or Republican. And always remember this, and I'll never forget what Ronald Reagan said. If you get a knock at your door, and that person says after you open it, I'm from the government, I'm here to help, slam the door and run out the back door as fast as you could. Because it isn't the government who should control the people, it's the people who control the government. Absolutely. And you do that with information, and as we say with military intelligence, information is knowledge, and knowledge is power.
Absolutely. Information indeed is knowledge, and knowledge indeed is power, and the right power invests in people's hands when they go for vote.
That's right, that's right. And there are a lot of rallies that go on, a lot of protests, but the most powerful weapon a person has is this finger or this finger. Bing! That's it. And you become the most powerful person in the world. Man once said to me, it's better to be the kingmaker than the king. Because the kingmaker are the people. You can change your quality of life in 6 months by bing.
But Commissioner Rogers, you are such an inspiring person. You have been working for the community, for people at large. Your budding years and the foundation years, as you spoke about your story of the orphanage, trying to do some small deeds or good deeds, and your passion for people. Why have you not thought of contesting yourself? I mean, you must also contest for any office in terms of senator's office or another house, seat, basically. Have you ever thought about that?
Wow, what a question, huh? Well, first time I was asked that question. I'll tell you, I ran for
governor.
Why not? I ran for governor in New Jersey. A few years ago.
Oh, okay.
And I lost the primary, all right? And then I went and backed the candidate who was chosen. But along this road, I began to realize that, you know what? I could probably do a lot more by getting out there without trying to raise money for myself, without saying, gee, if I say this, will they be offended if I say that? Because that's one of the reasons why I probably wasn't elected. I just told people the truth. I wasn't going to go and tell this group in South Jersey one thing and the people in North Jersey another thing. So I learned that, you know what? You could do a lot more, maybe sometimes by being the guy behind the scenes or the gal behind the scenes. And you could certainly be direct, you could be honest, and you could put politicians in their place. Well,
kingmakers play a major role.
Yeah,
You're right there.
So I'm not going to be running for office. I'm going to be working for the President of the United States on his campaign, and we're going to start building the Republican Party the way it was when Abraham Lincoln was president. A party of the people, by the people, and for the people.
So, that is Commissioner Rogerses' story, you know, where he has been involved into multiple things. He leads groups, he leads the, the America Winning Coalition. And if you are interested to touch base with Commissioner Rogers, I would like to share his contact number. I mean, the AWC's contact number is 973-562-6508. I repeat, 973-562-6508. Just in case, if you want to associate with Commissioner Rogers, his vision, his mission, and his dedication to the nation, if you want to join hands together, you must call them. Because I know some people do work for others. Some people live to work for others. And some people are those, amongst those some people is Commissioner Stephen Rogers, sitting right next to me today. Commissioner Rogers, any good message you want to send out to all my audience, American Indians, Indians in general, and people of the world, because you are a person who comes with a lot of great background of service that you have done to the people.
Yes, I'd like to convey this message. When I took office in Nutley, New Jersey, I purchased a picture of President George Washington, our first president, next to his horse at Valley Forge, on his knees praying. And I did that for a reason, because my desk is right across from that picture. So I'd sit on my seat and I'd say, you know what, this is what I need to do to start my day. If I want my family together, if I want my country together, if I want to be of value to my nation and to the people in whom I crisscross with every day, I need to pray for God's direction. And that's what George Washington was doing. He was saying, Lord, and here's the prayer. Take me where you want me to be. When I get there, tell me what I need to do. And when it's done, let's go home.
Wow, this is so amazing.
That's it.
This is moving. Well, I'm not left with any words with the closing lines that you've given. Commissioner Rogers, you are an inspiration, a living legend. And indeed, we are very, very grateful for you to have come to our studios and enlighten our people. Thank you so much. We wish you great success in whatever you're doing and the masses that you're leading. And I'm pretty sure there would be a huge bandwagon to follow you.
Well, and thank you for what you're doing, because you're contributing a lot of value to the country, this great country, to your motherland, and to all the people watching. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you so much. My dear viewers, so here we have Commissioner Stephen Rogers. You heard his story, a person for sure who would inspire you, a person for sure who has remarkably spoken about the value of family. And that's where we try to grow each day under the right guidance of the family, keeping families intact. We wish him great luck, great success in whatever he's doing. And to you, again, we will come back with another inspiring story in our next session. Till then, God bless you. God bless America. Thank you so much.